Hi, welcome. My name is Shiko, and welcome to Doing Life with Shiko. On today's episode, we have this amazing man, Kelvin Odek, who happens to be my husband.
Hujajiintroduce kama wewe ni sawa tu. Guys, life is hard, but the Lord is good.
No, see, you're my husband. Husband of my youth.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have not refused. Yes.
Here to talk about transitions. Yes. So let's get started. Please introduce yourself.
Sasa hapa mtu anaanzaje? Sijazoea maisha, acha nijaribu tu. Hi, my name is Kelvin Odek. I love the Lord. I'm happy to be here. A father, full-time husband. Yeah, and then ministry. Tuko ndani mbaya. Yes.
Uko ndani, your ministry.
Eh,
So, a question.
mhm.
How many years have you been in ministry?
How many years have I counted? But let's say close to 15 years.
Okay.
Yes, close to 15 years.
How has that been?
It has its own challenges, but it's been good so far. I have enjoyed every moment about it. I have loved every experience. There's been lessons. I have actually grown. I can't say that I'm the same person who started as a young boy who was just fresh from high school, not trying to figure out what to do with life. Yeah, so God has been faithful.
So, where did you start in ministry? Just give us a small snippet of where you started in ministry and where you are right now.
So I started my journey in ministry. So I started back in a church because I grew up in Eastlands. So I started in a church called Great Commission. Great Commission was where we actually grew up. And one of the things that pushed me to, because I used to tell guys, I want to do ministry, but I want to be a pastor as a joke. But again, I used to get upset when I hear pastors preaching and the things they preach about in terms of it was more of money, prosperity and all that. So I kept on asking, is there any other thing in the Bible that is not about money or someone getting rich? And so that was my nini for ministry. So I started in Great Commission as a Sunday school teacher.
You've never told me that.
So I was a Sunday school teacher. And I remember how I got into this Sunday school class was one, because the person who used to be the teacher was a friend of mine. And so he kept on telling me, hey, Kevo, because at that time my name is, people used to call me Kevo, would be like, Kevo, I'm about to retire, so I need people like you to start picking up. And so I kept on asking myself, what do you need? So we talked on a Sunday, and he said, I need you to pick up this ministry. Then on Friday, he got into an accident and died.
Oh, sorry.
So Sunday, I found myself teaching. Okay? So because I was like, if this was this guy's last wish, then I need to take up this. So may his soul rest in peace. He was a very good friend. And so that's how my journey began. So taught Sunday school for some time. Then I realized I needed to grow beyond what I'm seeing. Because it's so easy for you to grow up somewhere and stay within that space and never think of anything beyond it. So I kept on challenging myself and say, I need to learn more, get to know more. That time I'd enrolled in a school called East Africa School of Theology. And that school shaped my ways of doing ministry, because I remember one significant thing that happened was we used to do this unit called children's ministry. Imagine I'm teaching Sunday school and then being equipped on this side. So I used to be a puppeteer. I used to do puppetry as well. So had my own ninis. It was fun. But over time, I started realizing that God is calling me in another direction, where one person, a friend of mine, came and told us there's an opportunity at Nairobi Chapel that was being opened up, and it was just to do youth ministry in high schools. So I was like, okay, let me go see. I went and I had the conversation and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I want to be part of this. And so got in, started doing high school ministry around Ngong Road, which was great. Just seeing, nimekuja kwa Kibabi, Kizungu nayo,
Lazima.
I have to my nini lazima kizungu ipande. So yeah, people now they say I have a katweng.
Do you?
I think so.
Do you?
But my wife does not think so. So but yeah, so came to the sides, started serving there with the high school ministry. Then yeah, that's how I landed myself doing youth ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how was that transition from Great Commission to Chapel?
Unataka kweli?
Eh.
So we've moved. I'm just from Eastlands again, Eastlando. Coming to this side, so youth from the church I was in was anyone if you're between the ages of 0 to 13, you're a child.
Okay.
So you were in the Sunday school. You're in Sunday school. Then now youth was between. So there's an age gap. Okay, because I also struggled in those days because there was an age gap between when you're 14 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back now on this side, I realized, these guys have actually taken care of all the age gaps. Where there is the Sunday school, then there's the preteens, then there's teens, then there's the colleges. So you could see. So that one was amazing to see. Culture shock. Then I remember someone put me in a group. So my first culture shock, before the group, was I was taken to a school called RVA. So I walk into this school. Kwanza kila kitu inanichanganisha. Then watu tunaongea kizungu. Mimi ni fresh from Eastlands. Sijui hata nini inaendelea. Niko like wow, huku ndiko kwa kibabi. Yani things just shocked me. In fact hata food ilikuwa na savile food na watu wakichukua so that I don't make a mistake. So finished then going out to chapel, the service, there used to be something they'd call scope. So we would sit, it was more of a small group. There's this Katui, and then I had a friend of mine called Goar. So we get into this group, and then this Tui is anatueng hapo mbaya, anaongea kizungu fulani. Tuko Goar akauliza akasema tu manze ni kilami gani huku hizi. So tuko changanikiwa, sio wote tumechanganikiwa. But it was a start of something new because I was like, this is fresh. Okay, it's something you're like, okay, let me see how it goes. So the transition was surprising. Okay, but it was also beneficial for me. Yeah.
So how was it serving in chapel, and how long did you serve in chapel?
How long? So I served about 7 or 8 years, if I'm not wrong.
All those years in youth ministry?
Yes.
Okay.
So I started as an intern. So high school, then internship. Then I had the privilege of working under Reverend Nick Korir, who was like still a mentor in terms of how he used to be passionate about young people. So everything I am doing now currently is because of what I learned from him. Okay. In terms of the love he had for people, the visits he used to take us to do. And so it was good because now I'm growing in all aspects of ministry, where I'm seeing hands-on ministry done in a different way. From the crusades to now, we're not doing crusades, we are doing personal ministry where I'm discipling, I'm being discipled and all those things. In fact, that's the first time I even heard the term like discipleship being used and someone being intentional about, because most times we'd hear about the disciples and everything, but it wasn't seen. Okay. Yeah. So now seeing it in action, I was like, this is something amazing. Then later, I met a guy called Christian. Christian now was so keen on teaching me on the things I desired in terms of connecting, preaching, and everything about God's word. And to be honest, those are years I cherish. Because they were like my molding years of ministry. Okay. Where there were times I was complaining. I was taken to plant churches, but now later I realized all these things were just to build me. Yeah.
Okay. So, and how is it that you transitioned from chapel to Good Shepherd, where you're currently serving?
So that one, neka kongori. So after serving in chapel, things happened. I lost my job.
Mm-hmm.
So I was out of ministry for close to 2 years or so. So that that took me, because so one of the things I usually say is that something that defined me was removed from me,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have a definition for myself.
Okay.
Okay, because everything that made sense stopped making sense. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so at that time I had the title of I was working, so that went out of the window. I was a pastor, that went out of the window. The resources I used to have went out of the window. Lost friendships along the way. So one of the things that it made me, I got really angry at everything about God and everything. So I did a Jonah, okay, for a number of years. So I totally left church completely, where I was like, I don't want to serve in church anymore. In fact, I felt better doing other things than church. I wanted to do more of so that season I got into creative ministry.
Creative ministry.
So
Let's talk about that.
creative ministries where we would I was a producer, so I used to be part of to shoot videos, look for locations. It was exciting for a bit, but was frustrating for a long time. Okay, so I was getting frustrated every single time. So, but I knew in the back of my mind, and when my mom kept on telling me, enda tu, Mungu atakurudisha upende usipende. And so, in fact, one of the things she used to push me is going to church on Sunday. I used to fight that thing. Me, I'd be like, in fact, this is the season nimepata siendi church. Let me sleep. Let me enjoy. But one thing led after the other, where got into a life that I am not happy about. Started, everything just went wrong, because when you give the enemy an open door, okay, he sees 10 other doors that you've opened. And so it's something that I thought would give me joy, give me more heart. Okay, to a point I got into depression. Just things got just worse and worse and worse and worse. And you know this, because you are one of the persons I reached out to when I was about to commit suicide. And so yeah, so later I remember I told myself, and you laughed at me because we were married at that time. You started laughing at me and saying, I'll have to go back to ministry. And I don't know what you saw.
See, I saw what I saw when we met. No?
What was that? What did you saw that I did not saw?
What you didn't saw at the time.
Yeah.
What I saw was someone who loves the Lord. As in, there was
even in my Jonah moment.
Even in your Jonah moments, like you genuinely loved God. And even in your Jonah moments, you'd still talk so highly of God. You get, like, in as much as you were not doing ministry, like your love for Christ and you knowing his place in your life was still there. And so that's why even when we're going to talk about that, when you are going through now that transition when we were married, I kept telling you, Buddha, wefanya kenye unafanya, just so you know, you have to go back to ministry. If you don't, ile kichapo yenye Mungu atakupatia, I'll be here laughing at you, which I actually laughed at you.
Yeah, so when it was a night, I sent they went to see her folks. That's the moment where I wrote and said, I gave a letter and said of resignation to my previous boss, who was my friend, and told him, I'm no longer going to be working with you. He took it very hard, but I was like, I needed to have peace with God, because at that point I knew I was not having peace with God. So that's when I took a step back. And so I trusted God that he will open up a door. And God did that, because as I'm always asking my senior pastor, what did he see? Because when we talked on I don't remember, it was a weekday, someone calls me and says, hey, we're looking for someone to do youth ministry. In fact, the question was, do you still do youth ministry? I was like, how do you even know I do youth ministry? But I was like, I've been out of it a while, but I still do. And it was like, we are looking for a youth pastor. This pastor was like, we're looking for a youth pastor. And I was like, okay, I wouldn't mind. Then she decides, she sends me the senior pastor's number. And at that point, I feared telling my wife, Shiko here, about it, because I knew for sure if I tell her, we've had so many no's, and I didn't want to disappoint you.
Yeah.
So I remember I think I was in town, and I have this number I'm supposed to call, I've not called. Then I was at Holy Family Basilica there going to park. Then I asked myself, what's the worst that can happen? It's better to be told no, but at least you know the answer. So I called the senior pastor, and I was like, yo, I got your number. And this is it. We talked. He was like, are you available to come on Tuesday? I think it was on a Tuesday. I was like, yeah, I'm available. Then
Ban.
So
Say ban. Ban.
I showed up at the office, came to the office. Then he was in a meeting, so I had to wait for him. Then I wait. He comes and tells me, I have to go. Okay, I have to go. Can you reschedule this? I'm like, me in my head, I'm like, my friend, if you reschedule, nenda kwa menini bibi yangu uko home. So I'm like, no, I'll just wait for you. You go do you. I'm do me here as I wait. So, because again, I just wanted to know what's the fit. So he walks out, goes wherever he goes for his meeting. Then he walks back in. This time he doesn't come alone. He comes back with my previous boss, in where I used to serve. They walk in together, and I'm like, dang it. This is gone. Like, So I send Shiko, I remember sending you a text, and I'm like, even. I was like, even. Then I texted one of my best friends, like, bro, you can't believe this. But bro, did you interview? Even. Because at that point, Reverend Bose had not asked me to come with a CV. As in, he's one of the best bosses I've found. So I'm like, okay, so what? And then kidogo, so my former boss comes and asks me, what are you doing here? I'm like, yeah, there's an opportunity here. So then I'm called into another room. So I see him calling me. As in, so ni koi room, alafu, hajatu kame go. So then akini call, naitwa kuona senior pastor. So I walk in to see the senior pastor. We have this long conversation. But the long conversation is, it's more of, this is what the vibe I'm getting. Do you want to be here? If you want to be here,
you're welcome.
And I'm like,
Hujasikia sifa zangu hapa nje?
Then he tells me, go think about it, come see how the Sunday service ran. Then we can talk more. I came, that was during COVID. Then Manze, as we are just about to, I remember even, in fact, after I've left the room, I call my former boss. I'm like, yeah, you tried looking. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, this is what it is. He's like, okay, sawa, awesome. Then he goes. So that disappears, and I come. Then COVID hits again, where churches are being closed. Hey, me and my wife worked hard. Because we
2
knew,
hours of working hard.
We knew how this opportunity meant a lot to us, and also just to see young people get transformed. At that point, I don't know even if my wife knew what she was doing.
I honestly didn't know.
She was just looking at me and thinking, hey, you're crazy. But we came up with a plan for youth ministry, Dini, and sent it out. And that's how we landed here. And one of my tests was to see if my children will love this space.
Yeah.
And when we came in, they felt at home. And that's how I knew this was the right place to be in. And that's how we've been ever since.
And how has it been so far? It's been 4 years? It's actually 5.
No, 4 years, turning 5
turning
years
5.
next. Yeah, turning 5.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. I came in, and to be honest, the growth I've seen, both myself and the young people, the love I've seen in this space, it's something I cherish.
Okay.
Someone reminded me a few weeks ago as we were having a conversation, and he was like, maybe now it might not make sense, but 20 years from now, it will start making sense for you, because you would have now seen the fruit of what you're doing. Because many times you want to see the fruit now and then, but it was like, wait, 20 years from now is when you'll see it. Because I have met great young people. I've gotten to spend time with amazing young people who can walk into my house at any time, okay, and they just walk in. But that shows that we've built friendships. We've built a family. Yeah, and even through that, I've seen my relationship with my previous friends who I held so dearly, being reconnected back. Okay, and it's a lesson for me where I'm seeing I've understood what grace looks like. I've seen what grace looks like, and I've experienced how grace works. Okay, and just seeing even the friends I have, the people who walked with me coming back, and we have this, this community building up. That has been great, and having a support system like you, who keeps on praying over me even when I don't feel like someone needs to pray for me, just keeping me in check, and reminding me, and seeing the journey. Okay, yeah, it's been amazing. Yeah.
And so, no question, this is now in light of the transitioning. So how can one embrace change while remaining faithful to their core belief?
Yes, all in ngumu.
How can one embrace change? Unezaje embrace your change?
Tuanze jibu hiyo kwanza.
Okay.
How can one embrace change?
Okay.
I don't know if it's the uniform for everyone, but I think we know when change is about to happen.
Okay.
But we hold back.
So, what are some of the signs to know when, you're about to transition,
I think
when there's change coming?
Mine is when I can do something while my eyes are closed. That's usually an indicator for me. For my friend, you need to move. Secondly, when I'm not psyched up for anything anymore. Okay, those are indicators when you are not as excited as you used to be excited. But also understanding that there are times God pushes you to those spaces, and you need to be obedient. Okay, because understanding that this ministry is not mine to benefit, but for others to benefit. Then because God is using me to speak to the lives of young people and other people. So if I put myself in one box and say this is the box He's called me and I can't move here, then I'll be doing disservice to another young person that maybe I'm supposed to be meeting. Yeah. So we used to say this thing that transition is part of the constant change.
Okay.
Like
transition is part of
the constant change. Like there's always someone transitioning. Okay, but it's their job to embrace the transition and the changes that come with it.
So we are all transitioning at some point, or rather we'll
because if you think about it, you are single, then kidogo you're dating, then you're married. All those are transitions. Then you have children.
Yeah.
You have you're moving from high school, campus. All those need change. So it's for you to embrace and say, am I willing to be part of this and learn the lessons and grow, or will you close yourself out?
Okay. So what role does forgiveness play when moving on from a difficult past?
Hey, Leo, umeniweza.
Aje sasa.
Hebu rudia swali tena.
What role does forgiveness play when moving on from a difficult past? Like, what did forgiveness do to you, especially when now you are transitioning from the creative ministry, as you call it, to God ministry?
What did it do?
Yes.
I think one, we have to come into the realization that one, your heart, okay, and the forgiveness is not for you, but it's not for the other person. It's actually for you to be free. And so, with the moment I was able to come to terms with that, it actually opened the doors for me. Okay, because we were able to sit at a space where all of us are now speaking our mind and our heart. Okay, so what that does, it frees you from the past pain and everything, and even the bitterness. Okay, and now you start being open to the idea of this was God's work, not your work. Okay, so nowadays I don't look at them as empty heart and they needed forgiveness, but I needed to forgive for myself, for my own pain, okay, for me to get to where God wanted me to be. And so when that happened, I have seen the peace of God. I've experienced the peace of God. I've enjoyed His joy over me, and ministry is not work. It's something that gives me joy. Okay.
Yeah. And so where do you see yourself in the next 10 years in ministry?
I think labda in Kenya I'm going to be the oldest youth pastor.
No movie.
Maybe I'm going to be the oldest youth pastor.
Wait, movie is white hair, right?
Yes,
Gray hair?
Yes,
okay.
Gray hair. Because one, because the Kenyan congregation is growing younger.
Yeah.
Okay, so every senior pastor is going to be a youth pastor, but I don't see myself as doing youth ministry to be in the next level of ministry, like to be the next senior pastor. I love young people. I love serving young people. It gives me joy because I believe that's the foundation. Because if you looking from back where I came from, where most guys would run away from church between the ages of 14 and about 20 something, they come back when they have families. Okay, and I'm like, if you can mold this stage, this gap, then what you're doing is building up to the coming church of the future. Okay, that we will have a future at the end of it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. And just to affirm what you do, you are doing a good job. I see the job that you do with the young people in church and out of church, and the love and the heart that you have for them, and how much you pour.
Najua love language yangu ni affirmation, ndio inapigwa leo. What of affirmation? Ndio hii sasa.
Humble thyself.
Okay, humble thyself.
Sasa umenipoteza.
You see?
No. How much you pour into their lives. And I pray that God will continue giving you that grace to do that. And He will give me wisdom to support you as you do that.
Amen.
Yes.
Wow.
Anything else you have to add to probably someone out there who's going through a transition, especially in ministry or even in life, how to deal with it?
I think mine is don't fear transitions. Don't fear. They look scary.
Yeah.
They're like this wild animal that you don't know how to take care of it. But they're worth it all. Because it ensures you grow. It pushes you to where you don't want to.
Yeah.
Someone's told me this. The most important thing that ever happened to me was the transition. One, because I got to be myself and was able to dream and build by myself.
Yeah.
Okay, because sometimes, and God pushes you because sometimes you are under people and you don't get to see see the work of God in you and through you.
Yeah.
And the moment you're pushed to that uncomfortable space, you're able to actually show who God is and how He's working.
Okay. There we have it, our very first episode of Doing Life with Shiko. Thank you so much, and please join us on the next one. Thank you.
Got a hag, man.
Oh, Lord. I've never looked at you so much.
Goddamn.